I don't blame them. Uh-oh, I think the meeting's at this end.
Recording in progress.
right.
There it is, right there, okay. I was looking for a budget, I'm used to saying 50 pages.
Yeah.
Let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland.
Here.
Councilman Saxon.
Here.
Councilman Jackson.
He's
Councilman-
running late.
Oh, he is. Okay. Councilman Evans.
Here,
Councilman Wilson. Councilman Hahn. Councilwoman Rasso.
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you.
So now I say,
Motion to amend.
I motion to amend the agenda. The election day, August 8th, to have a discussion on coverage and/or do we need to change the date?
All right, there's a motion to discuss rescheduling the regular August meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I didn't want to pull it, yeah.
And we'll just do that first. Our next meeting's on election day. We've got a meeting that day. And I'll let Debbie give her rationale for wanting, you go first, Debbie.
Well, I just thought that it would be difficult to have a meeting if we were at the polling place most of the day. And then I thought, well, if we divided up being at the polling place, we wouldn't be there most of the day. And then Sam gave another suggestion of changing the starting time that day until after the polls are closed. So those are kind of, I guess we'd need to look at what date we would change it to if we changed it completely.
Yeah, and I will tell you, the Tuesday before that, I'm out of town. The Tuesday following that, I'm out of town, and Sam's got a vacation day that was approved. He's out Monday and Tuesday, so the Tuesdays before and after that, I won't be here. And secondly, if this is the council's pleasure to change it or not to change it, I don't like changing meetings unless we have to, unless there's a really strong reason. People are used to meetings being on the second Tuesday of the month, and when you change them, they're just not aware. So with that said, if anybody has any input or comment.
I mean, is there any other day of the week that the building is open that we could have a meeting, that people would be here? Well, at least Sam.
Kiana's pulling up the
August
calendar.
9th is open.
Sam, would you be back, are you on a week vacation, Sam, or is it just
No,
a day?
I'm doing the 11th, the 14th, and the 15th.
I have a meeting on the 9th.
You have a meeting in the night?
I do.
So, Ken, what would be the next day?
The 23rd, which is the day before the workshop meeting. Or the 18th.
Or what?
The 18th.
That's a Friday. Do we have to have a meeting? I'm just asking.
Well,
Well, that's our
no,
regular meeting.
What's our
it's a
regular meeting?
I know.
The,
But if it's election, so we have to have a meeting. I'm just asking, because I'm not really sure.
yeah,
Could we do it afterwards, say 7:30?
Yeah, I would say let's do it at 7:30.
and then
Oh,
having
close.
said that, though, what is our presence gonna be at the polling place?
But the polls will be closed at
polls will be
7.
Oh,
closed.
no, I'm
at
saying
7.
throughout the day, like, I don't wanna be there all day and
I'm
come to
probably
the meeting
gonna
at
work,
7:30.
I'm probably gonna work the library for 4 hours. I'm gonna get Terry to work it for 4 hours, and maybe Steve Reese or Jane to work it.
I mean, if we could
It's
each
up
take a chunk of time, it's not the whole day then, and then we're represented at the polling place. I don't know if we wanna, formally write out a schedule, or
I
send
don't,
it to you.
I don't think I'm gonna have trouble manning this polling place up here. I mean, we got the library and the school.
No, we don't, the school, no, we don't, it's just the library. On my ballot, it's just the
Yeah, I
library.
think it's
Really?
just the
Oh,
library.
shoot.
It's
Between
just-
us, we should.
That's what it says on
Yeah,
the
That's
ballot.
how, well, I don't know, that's why I'm bringing it
I
up,
mean,
I
I'll
don't want
work.
it to be an issue.
No, I think that's what my ballot says too, just the Natural Bridge Library, so.
Well, I can't anticipate with everybody that's interested in
So
this, including Glen Echo, will have trouble manning that poll.
Okay, so just kind of keep it go with the flow and people show up when they show up?
Well, I'll make some phone calls, but Glen Echo's gonna have an interest in working that poll. We have an interest. there's plenty of people here if there's only one polling place for this issue.
So if we have 7 at 1 or 2 hours and then at the next hour, I mean, that's why my teaching is coming in and saying, let's have a schedule then, and then we'll know it's covered, but.
Oh, would you want 7 people at one polling place?
No, that's
No,
what
that's
she's
what she's
saying.
saying, if we
That's
just
what
let
she's
it go
saying.
with the flow and everyone show up
So
when
like
they
if we
want.
say like 2 people are gonna, like Ward 1 people will come between like 9 and 10.
Well, let's, I think it would be more appropriate to have that conversation after this meeting, and we'll just have a powwow
Okay.
afterwards, rather than making this part of the,
Right.
I mean, we could all shoot you when we feel we can come, and then you could then do a master
yeah, because
plan.
really, this is, the reason I say that, managing the polls is not city business, it's kind of our business versus,
Oh, well, I didn't know. So-
yeah, I'm just suggesting that we have a powwow after the meeting's over, and that, we won't be discussing city business, we'll be discussing a ballot issue that we'd like to see passed.
And so we'd start the meeting at 7:30 then,
Right.
on the 8th?
How is that idea?
Huh?
So we doing 7:30?
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion to move the next regular meeting on August 8th to 7:30 PM. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right. Discussion of fiscal year budget 2024. Sam, I'll let you lead this.
Sure.
Oh, and also, in regard to this discussion, can you also build for us a timeline when we expect to take a final vote and when we expect to finalize the budget?
Right. So, tonight, this is the first draft of the general fund, which is like 80% of the budget, if not 90% of the budget. We will have a first reading at the September meeting, and that will include the full budget after the input here tonight, and then the other funds like the capital improvement fund, the economic development fund, and so forth. We'll have an August workshop, which hopefully we can start to get closer to the final budget, and then ideally, it would have a second reading and pass at the September regular meeting, although if we feel that we're not ready, we do have the September workshop that we could, table to that time, and that gives us a couple more weeks, and we can hopefully, at the very latest, have it ironed out at the September workshop.
When did you say the first reading was?
That would be at the August meeting,
At the August meeting?
the August 8th one. Yeah, which is only 2 weeks from now, so.
I get it.
So our target is September regular meeting, voting on a final draft of the budget.
That would be ideal.
And then
But we
typically.
got one meeting to flex it.
Well, typically it's run into special meeting, emergency meeting, we don't have a budget, so that would be grand if we could do that.
Remind me, at the workshop, we can't vote a second reading? We can't do a second reading at a workshop?
You can do a second reading.
So we could do the second reading at the August workshop. and
Right,
things.
well.
I don't know.
Well, there's and we'll get into this,
Okay.
sometimes, especially with some of these bigger quotes on like insurance, it may take until the September meeting before we have the final numbers for the year. So, so is our August workshop the 24th or the 31st?
I believe it's 24.
The
I
4th
think
and
it's the
24th.
24th, right?
Yeah, the 4th, Thursday.
Yeah, thank you. So, there are a few things, so this is the first draft here. One, you should all have it in your packet, and then I'm gonna share my screen here as well to follow along. But there are a few major drivers, kind of things that are already accounted for in the draft that we have here, and things that we still need to work on in order to basically finish out the budget. So I just want to go over a few of those. Now,
Easy.
Probably the biggest thing that we're facing with this budget is increased insurance costs, and that's for workers' compensation and liability insurance through MOPERM. And that's due, I mean, frankly, that's due to loss history and on both types of insurance. So,
10505.
yeah, 10505, that's just for administration, which is one of the lower work comps.
Which line are you talking about? That's what I'm asking.
Well, it's spread across each
Oh,
department. But last year, our workers' comp coverage was 150,000. It ended up getting revised down to 120,000 about halfway through the year. Without going too much into the weeds on how workers' comp insurance works, the more losses you have, the jacket up the price. And what we had this year is our loss history was high with two, big accidents that we've had in the past year. And so our work comp carrier, MEM, who's actually one of the better work comp carriers, is denying our renewal, which means we'll have to go to the residual market, which, we'll get coverage, it will just cost more. And then hopefully in 3 years, those things, the way it works is your premium and your loss history is based off your previous 3 years. So 3 years from now, that will drop off, and then we can hopefully get back on a more cost-effective plan and not
Right.
be in the residual market.
Similar to SR 22.
I'm not sure.
There's so many tickets, they take your license, then you have to get the higher premium,
Yeah,
like general insurance. Pay
Sure.
arm and leg.
Yeah, this-
We've all been through it.
yeah. And so that's really unfortunate. And I was talking to our broker, and it's our loss history, it's also the market. They're really not tolerating what they consider high risk. And they're pushing those people to the pool just because of inflation and, how the market is. That's what he told me. It's also just because we have a loss history, we have a small payroll, so if you have two big accidents, that really blows things out. If you have a payroll of $1 million, or, sorry, several millions dollars, unlike us, then you may be able to absorb a couple accidents, but
So you're
Not us.
saying loss history, and when you're referring to accidents,
yeah.
can you explain on that, what accidents?
Well, I don't want
You don't
to,
have to go into it here, but,
yeah, there was two big ones. There was the one where an officer got hit on the highway, and that happened around right when I first got started. And then there was, of course, Harold.
Oh,
So,
gotcha.
yeah. And then on the other side, the liability insurance, the MOPERM has to take us, but we have also had a lot of claims for employment practices, not so much in recent history, but still within the window where they take it into account and jack your premium up. And we also have high deductibles. So I'm also accounting for increased cost on that. Now, once our broker gets us on the residual market, which will take about a month for workers' comp, and once we get our renewal information back from OPERM, we'll know exactly what those are. But I'm being very cautious and budgeting both of those very high, just in case. That way we can revise down, not revise up, when September comes and we're putting together the final budget. So
So when you say that it's spread out over different areas, like what are the?
So, okay. Here, so it will always be 05 in the Department for Workers' Comp. And the two highest workers' comp will be, because it's based off of what the job duties of the employee are the police, which are always going to have a high work comp bill because of the nature of the job. And so that would be 10-605, and then Public Works would be 10-705, and then also Parks also has its own line. So, again, hopefully,
Is that 10-605A too, also?
yeah, it's always, if it ends in 05, it's workers' comp. Now, you're pointing to 605A is courts, 505 is admin. Those are, pretty low the biggest danger in an office is that you trip over a filing cabinet, which is a safety concern, but it's not quite like Public Works or, so it's accounted for in the budget and how they bill it.
Okay, I got you. I was wondering what that $3,000 bill was for work comp. That's just the administration side.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
for, and it's only for,
Yeah.
3 employees, so, yeah.
That's the stub toe insurance.
Yeah. So that was the first big thing driving the budget, and I have a memo just kind of bullet pointing some of these things. The next one is the pay plan, and I know we tabled the pay plan to talk about it alongside the budget. So this incorporates the pay plan that was last presented.
What page are you on?
Well, I would just look at the memo right now, but,
Second page. He's going through.
and then also in there is, I can probably pull that up actually. Let me pull that up. Okay. There was so for what was presented at the last meeting and after, it wasn't the first one that was presented, but I took some of the feedback. The increased cost for there would only be 3 positions that would be given raises, and that's the upper rank of the police department, and that would be, and that's specifically sergeant, captain, and major. And that would be $46,000 just right off the bat for the budget, so that's accounted for in this budget. As well as some of the step increases for all the positions.
What page are you
Well, this is just a broad overview. Yeah, it's just a broad overview. I'm sorry, I'm missing a copy, let me follow along here. Also, in the revenue, on the revenue side, it also accounts for the Glen Echo Park consolidation, which is going to bring us, if it passes, obviously we'll have to revise it if it doesn't, but about $40,000 in annual revenue from their sales tax and property tax and all the other taxes. So that's a part of this, and you'll see some of the numbers higher than before. We also have a restructure of the Public Works Department to have a full-time supervisor. And that's something Dennis and I are working on, and we'll have to amend the pay plan to add another position and establish a rate. So we will do that and present that to council here soon for them, a pay range for the Public Works supervisor. That is about, that bump salaries, about 10 to 15,000, because, and it didn't affect health insurance, because we were just taking one of the lower people, or just one of the laborers, and making that position, which is currently unfilled, or it's filled by a temp right now, and making that a supervisor's position. And when you're talking about number of positions, depending on what the person's family situation looks like, it can cost up to $20,000 to insure a single employee for the city. So it ranges anywhere from $7,000 to $20,000. So not having to change the number of the positions makes it a lot more affordable. We're just having to increase the pay to attract someone with more skills.
Sir, did you say on-site supervisor, in other words, foreman?
Yes.
Yeah.
So replace a laborer with a foreman, and you have the same number of people out there. The same liability as far as health insurance. Obviously, the foreman would be getting paid a higher dollar.
Yeah, and they would still be working. I mean, it wouldn't just be someone sitting in the truck watching them. It would be a working foreman for sure. And I'm sure Dennis would still have to get out there and cut some grass from time to time, as he is right now. So utility taxes are projected to go up. That mostly has to do with the two ordinances that were passed by the council.
What page are we on?
Uh,
Line?
This summary.
It's on the side.
Yeah, I'm just talking, but you can see right here, this is actually on the very first page, utility taxes. Those are gonna go up pretty significantly because Spire and Missouri American Water, greatly increased the cost, and we're all gonna see it at home. And we maintain the rate here at Normandy, so we will also see a pretty significant increase in those taxes. Increased court revenue is budgeted, and that's because hopefully by October 1st, if we keep at the rate we're going, we will have a fully staffed police department with the traffic unit. And we've made progress. I know that there's a few candidates before the personnel board tonight, and I think they're meeting right now in closed session in the conference room. So we'll see how that goes. And so hopefully with a fully staffed police department, there's more room for traffic enforcement. And one of the byproducts is more fines and forfeiture revenue that we need to account for. So, and
Hey, can you repeat that, what you just said?
Regarding the court revenue?
No, the last sentence, can you just repeat the last sentence that you just said?
with more traffic enforcement, one of the byproducts is more fines and forfeiture revenue. If you pull over more speeders and, it's just, well, we just have to account for it, so. Also in this budget, this is something that we haven't done and I want to start doing more and more. And right now we're gonna start out with what we can afford in this budget. But we get approximately between 200 and 250,000 in motor vehicle sales tax revenue each year. So this is sales tax you pay on your car as well as the sales tax you pay on your gas, and that gets distributed to portion of that gets distributed to municipalities. And it's supposed to be used on roads and streets as well as it can be used for public safety. It's kind of like the reverse of the Prop P tax where Prop P is supposed to be used on public safety, but it can be used for roads. This is supposed to be used for roads, but it can be used for public safety. For the past several years, that's just always basically funded the Public Works Department and taken the load off more than just the general sales tax. What I want to start doing is taking a portion of that, and hopefully in future years it can be even a larger portion, and putting that directly into the street improvement fund and catch up on our street resurfacing. Because we are way behind right now, and it's going to take, some serious investment to keep our streets and stop hearing complaints about potholes and things of that nature. So in this budget, 1/4 of that revenue is taken directly into street improvement. That's about $60,000.
Why just 1/4?
Because we have to pass a balanced budget.
Oh.
So it could go up if we find places to save money, but
Not a lot of money for streets, I would think, so. but
no,
it's,
and we can talk more about that, but right now we have about $240,000 in our street improvement fund that's waiting to be spent. There's about generally, let me pull this up. Generally, oh, that's not the right budget. We get it's that even smaller is a bridge and road tax. That's a property tax from the county that they share with municipalities. That is about $25,000, $25,000 to $30,000 a year. So we would be doing over $100,000 this year just out of revenue. And then we'll talk about our plan for CDBG funds later in this meeting and at the August meeting. But that's another way to supplement our resurfacing. And I do agree, if we can increase that number or at least increase it in future years, that's something that's, a priority because we're way behind on our street maintenance.
Does that include the humps on the streets then, as the streets are being resurfaced? Then will we be putting in the street stop ones?
That's part of the 2023 Community Development Block Grant. We're going to talk about the 2024 Community Development Block Grant. The 2023 CDBG is still not in, to my frustration, and I'm sure to everybody's frustration. And I've been working a lot with county because we've also got these demolitions coming up. I don't want to go too far aside, but that money should come in soon, and that's when those would go in. And also, it's more of a housekeeping thing, but also very important. I'm sure Andy would note. The prosecuting attorney is being broken out of the court budget. This is, considered best practice after court reform. So,
Should we be on a page?
yeah, this is 5 of 8.
Page 5.
Yeah, and so that's really not increasing anything, that's just court budget goes down a little bit, it gets broken out into its own budget, prosecuting attorney, because they are two completely separate
Totally
things.
separate.
Yeah, so, as it should be. And so those are sort of the changes so far. There's some work still to be done within staff. And so between the readings of the budget and even before next meeting, there's some line items that you may see shift around. It shouldn't affect the bottom number, but we're reclassifying some of our line items to be more transparent with certain things, and something that Kiana and I have talked about, and I've talked with the police department. But, for example, contractual services is one line item that's just very broad, and it doesn't really tell a resident who picks up a budget what we're spending the money on. And so breaking those into different line items that actually more accurately describe kind of what's going on. And then on the flip side of that, we have some line items that are incredibly specific that don't really serve the purpose of.
What's an example?
I would say legal advertisement is kind of one that is extremely specific, so we're gonna move, in fact, I may even already did that in this budget. So, yeah, so 10, and you can still see it on the screen, 10540 used to be called legal advertisement and recruitment. We're breaking that out. And I think, Public Works had a cleaning supplies line item and a supplies line item, and small tools and then equipment. Some of those things, just putting them together because it's breaking things out into like sub $1,000 line items, and it's just not the most useful way to convey the information. So, the departments are still working on refining estimates. I know the police department has a lot of work to do. We have, I would say, we have dozens of contracts each year. Some of them go up, some of them stay the same. So checking on all of those, making sure we get the right amount. So some of these numbers may be revised up or down, nothing too serious, hopefully. The biggest thing are the other major funds, and these are the half-cent funds, the capital improvements, sales tax, the parks and stormwater sales tax, the economic development sales tax. And deciding what capital projects that we're going to do this year. Unfortunately, getting a 5-year capital plan this year it's not going to be a reality, hopefully next year, but we still have to decide what capital projects we're going to do this year. So that's going to be one of the bigger line items that we don't have tonight. But we do need to think about it.
License Sinclair Station under public safety. Sinclair Station.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So I was trying to format the budget, and I think that was a previous line item from a previous fiscal year, probably when Mayor Green was.
4-8.
So,
692.
yeah, exactly. So that's you see how it zeros? That's because on a previous fiscal year, that used to be there, and that was a line item we spent money on. And then when I was reformatting my budget, it must have popped up, and I didn't. Because If we hadn't spent money on it in the past 2 years, I took it out, so. But I don't know the last fiscal year that they did spend money on Sinclair Station, but anyways. And then finally, we still got a lot of work to do on, getting the input from you guys, and the residents, and seeing, how do you guys want to spend the money?
The SRO, the school safety officer,
Yeah,
why is that blank? I thought we had.
well, again, so they used to have its own line item. Right now, we do have an SRO, but it's not broken out.
Oh,
It's just,
is it part of
the revenue is part of the contractual fees, and then the wages to employ the officers are just part of the public safety wages, so. And to kind of give you an idea of where we're at with the current estimates, we have right now a surplus of $14,000.
What page?
This would be on page 8 of 8.
I was
This is-
looking at 28,000, let me see it again.
Well, for some reason, I've got a different spreadsheet than you guys, so.
Or 230,
I mean,
260. Yeah, we have $27,500.
Yeah, 20, yeah, sorry, 27,000.
27.5 in the black, is that accurate?
Yeah,
Now, that 27.5 in the black, does that take into account the proposed pay plan as it's written?
yes.
Okay. And you think that your estimates on insurance are fat?
Hopefully.
Okay,
Honestly,
we
I
won't
don't
know
know.
till we know.
I don't know.
Yeah, until then.
So are there any questions? I know it's a lot.
I have a question. Going back to capital improvement, if you could explain again. I know it's a separate fund, but I don't see anything in here for capital improvement expenditure.
No, there really isn't. And that's, again, one of the things that we still need to work on. And so that would be, I would love some council input on the kind of capital
So
improvements.
is there
We
money,
also-
is there capital improvement money to be spent?
Yes.
And where is that in here?
It's on its own separate fund, so we just did the general fund.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Now, that being said, I can tell you it's gonna be, probably about $75,000 in the coming from the half-cent sales tax.
And that's gonna be the total?
The total revenue.
Okay.
And then
What's our
there's,
fund balance now?
I can pull that up.
Yeah,
What sales tax?
half cents?
half-cent sales tax for capital improvement, yeah. It'll add 70.
And then do we have like a list of like stipulations on what it can be spent on?
Well, capital
Capital
improvement.
improvement. This would have to be a capital item, which is generally vehicles, large pieces of equipment, or even
Is there like
things.
a sheet of information?
No, but
I didn't hear.
A sheet of information.
Just wondering, what can capital fund be spent on? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm asking that, but I'm also asking like, is it like, this is what it is and this is.
there may be accounting textbook I could, or like a definition from an accounting textbook. But generally, when we're talking capital improvements here at the city, we're talking, major renovation to the building, to any buildings, vehicles, large pieces of equipment, and even things like roads and things of that nature. So,
So that can go into any department budget we choose to put it in.
yeah,
Well, I will tell you, there's a couple, or if you want to go there right now, there's a couple things that I think we desperately need. One is resurfacing this parking lot.
Yes.
If we don't, we're gonna lose it, and it's gonna cost us even more money to get it fixed. So that's like, I have no idea. If you got some input, please, I have no idea what that would cost. I don't know,
It's
but,
tens of thousands.
oh, yeah.
You're talking 25,000 at least.
Well, that's less than I thought then.
At least, that's the last time I looked into a,
Yeah.
I could probably get a ballpark.
It would be helpful if we could have that number so that we could have a more educated conversation about what to do with capital improvement. The other capital improvement need is in public works. We have to get a new mower. When that thing breaks down and the guys can't, they get behind, can't catch up. We've got a bunch of old equipment. It's just, there was never a plan to replace it. They've been driving that stuff for a lot of years and it's just on its last leg.
We've been with one mower since I've been here. They're just, every time I get them back, another one goes down. So I'm getting 2 back tomorrow, so.
Yeah, they're just
What's gonna
old.
go down?
So could we use it to take down like the old playground equipment at Hosel Park? Or to like resurface the,
Can capital improvement be in a park?
You absolutely could, but, you know, strategically, you would want to use your parks and
Park funds
stormwater.
are limited to parks, so that might
Because,
be a better
you know,
source for.
you have different sales taxes and they're restricted to different uses. And so you want to use your most restrictive ones first. So I would say our most restrictive one is economic development, because you have to define something that it's contributing to economic development. Then there's parks and stormwater. It's pretty self-explanatory, so that I would say we would spend it out of parks and stormwater if that's something we were interested in. And capital improvement, that would be a capital improvement. Capital improvement's even more broad than that. So depending on how we want to use the funds.
can you use it to buy, like, or for concrete, like around, like Normandy Place?
Yeah, that would be a street improvement.
That would be- okay.
Yeah, and you could use the capital improvement fund to do that. And then this is a self-restriction that we have, I guess is a way to describe it. We have a street improvement fund that we set aside. There's no state statute saying that we have to set aside money in a separate fund, but Normandy has had one for years. And so that's a street improvement fund, and we have about 240,000 in that. And I'm looking at the capital improvement, I think we have about 85,000
Is that other?
in that. No, that's,
How much do those mowers run?
About 10,000.
We have 85,000 in it now, and we're gonna get 75,000
yeah.
more.
Mhm.
Hey,
Now-
Dennis,
And
do you have an estimate on the mower?
Depends on if we want to get a walk behind or a zero turn or what we want to get.
Okay.
And we can get end of year deals
So
too,
what do you suggest?
the zero turns.
0 turn?
now, and that's what the department heads and I will be, meeting, and I already have an idea of what the capital improvement requests are from the department heads. But we're gonna be, we will come with a request from the council. Dennis is talking about a mower, and we're actually talking about buying that out of the parks and stormwater as opposed to, because it's a mower for the park, as opposed to capital improvement. Just, the bare minimum to keep up with the fleet in the police department will require the purchase, ideally would be 2 vehicles a year, but we'll see what we can afford, especially with the price of police vehicles these days, so. And then,
So you don't want us to come up with suggestions?
no, I would love to hear suggestions that you have, but
So can we
I
put it
will,
on the list then?
I will have a list, you guys let me know what you want, and then you guys decide what you want to do.
Like, I think it would be helpful to have like the information that you put in here about the CDBG, like this.
Yeah.
To be like, this is what it's for, this is what it's, you know what I mean? Because it has to, we can't spend it on fruitcakes, because somebody gonna come and sue us.
Right.
So, like, it would be nice, I'm sure there's some place that has like,
Yeah, and Tiana just mentioned the elected official handbook has a lot of information, actually has a lot of information specifically about the capital improvement sales tax that state statute allows. And Andy may be able to pontificate on what the state statute, but generally, a capital improvement is just,
Well, let me ask
I
you a
mean,
question.
I'd have to look at the actual, look at the actual statute, but Sam, spot on, like, the capital improvements is the least restrictive.
Of the
Any sort of
restricted funds,
physical.
yeah.
So either from cap, in addition to repaving City Hall, which I think is way past due, can we use capital improvement or roads and bridge tax for a street assessment, which I think would go a long way for us to make a determination? Let a professional get out there and say,
Yeah.
here's your priorities, here's the anticipated life of whatever, you better get on this right away, this can be deferred 5 years, rather than us sitting in a room and deciding what
We-
street we want to.
We may be able to, but Dennis and I were actually just on a call, and in this budget, there's, and I'll try and get a closer ballpark number, but we have at least $10,000 in professional fees to, which would go to an engineer to conduct that survey.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't see that in
Yeah, well, it's just in professional fees in public works.
there. Okay,
So,
but you anticipated a street assessment in that
yeah.
number? Oh, great, okay, good.
We talked about that in a previous.
Yeah, we have talked about it, and
and then-
honestly, I wish we would have it done by now, but we don't, so.
All right.
So where are we at with it then, hiring the assessor? It costs about $10,000 to do the streets?
Yeah,
And so where would this $10,000 come from then?
well, it's just,
It's one of the capital.
it's just worked into the general fund budget.
So if we pass this budget, the 10 grand is there to do the street
Okay.
assessment. Okay.
So $10,000 for just the street assessment.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about a lot of hours from a civil engineer. In fact,
Surveyor.
you never know with where the bids come in either. But Dennis and I were just on a call, and, we still gotta talk about it, but we may have alternatives that are even better. But, yeah. I mean, civil engineer's $200 an hour.
No, I understand, but I'm saying we've talked about things that cost less to make the city run better, that have been shut down immediately. So $10,000, so Dennis can't do it, right?
Well, we could rate the streets. There's just, I mean, there's benefits to getting a more in-depth survey of the streets.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns.
I don't know how you would make a decision on what to do without it.
Professional.
Yeah,
No, I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying, we didn't wanna pay, $1,000 to do the smaller things, or
Like what?
I don't know, never mind. Keep my mouth shut. I don't see it on here. Can you,
Professional
no,
services.
I'm gonna
Kenneth
ask
said that
Kiana.
there's
She said
information
it.
in
we
there.
were talking about repaving public works. Can we also use that money just to stripe the parking lot, like in Hotel Park?
Okay, so restriping Holzell Park,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, depending on where we want to spend it out of, I mean, we could spend it out of parks and, it's in a park, so we could do parks and stormwater, we could.
the
Capital
parking
improvement.
lot probably can hold up for a few years, but it really needs to be striped.
Part of the one bid
Yes,
we're
I don't see
getting, adding parking lot on there, so maybe
And parking lot, where at?
The park grant.
Oh, okay.
So we're giving suggestions, but then you're gonna analyze them and say, what's better
Oh.
taken out of these monies?
Forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, I will, I would like input now, and I'll create a proposal, and then you guys can change it how you want, because you're the council, and you have the power of the purse, so.
Are you saying now, right this minute?
No,
Oh,
it doesn't have to be.
what's the, when would you?
Yeah, this is a lot.
When would you want us to have our suggestions?
Well, at any point you can give them, but we're having a first reading in August, and so that,
So in between now and the August 8th meeting?
yeah,
I
and then
wanna
if
hear
you,
what you all
if you
think.
don't have it before then, I mean, we can move things around and see if it's something that something we really want, we can make it work, you know?
So it's gonna take some time to study and absorb this, obviously, but what Sam's asking is, what are the needs? What are the pending, urgent, what do we need to see done?
I know that's the question to answer. What I'm
Yeah.
asking is, when should we have an answer? Do we discuss it at the October 8th meeting? Do we email him and say, like, this is what we want, and then everybody else looks at the email? I'm asking, like, is it a discussion out in front of everybody, or is it just like an individual email Sam? And then he'll be like, 4 people said this. That's what I'm asking. Like, how do we discuss it?
If anybody's got some ideas, we can discuss it now.
Well, we did get an outline of what we felt was needed in this thing, and we sent it to you. Where does that come?
Well, that wasn't, oh, I think we're talking specifically capital improvement.
Capital
But we had a
improvement.
bunch of stuff on there.
That there may have been things related to.
It could have been things on there that were, yeah.
Yeah, I think we-
Can we get a list of that?
yeah, I mean, that was a priority list, but I don't think much of that had to do with capital improvement. That was services and issues primarily.
Oh,
But between the streets and the, machinery that we need,
Well, and
that's gonna,
And as far as input, if there's anything you guys want to see, it doesn't have to be restricted to capital improvement. We can see, I can explore it and tell you what it's going to cost to do it. Like, I know there was, at previous meetings, there was talk about another code enforcer. You know, if that's something that you think would be worth the time to explore, and we can look at, you know, cost benefit, and then decide if we want it in the budget or not. Just let me know, and I'll make sure that the council has the information to discuss it and make a decision on it.
And with that idea, obviously, if we do something like that, we'd have to be prepared to shave something in another
Right.
area. Well, you did a lot of work on this because we were $100,000 shy when we talked last, so, yeah,
I'd
totally.
like to bring up bringing up the pickleball courts. I know the Parks Board been working on that. But as far as the benches and picnic tables, there's a lot of material that needs to be replaced, and I haven't heard that brought up yet.
Okay.
well, what about the playground?
Playground is in good shape.
Not a-
Playground is brand new.
There's a bench right in front of it that's all beat up,
Yeah,
but
and on the side.
if you fix that, it would look more
Yeah,
nice.
and also the picnic tables needed.
Yeah, those nice seats, I just found one today when I was over there. A hunk of one was broke off.
Oh, the little brown. Yeah,
Yeah,
kids get on the end of it and
yeah, there's
pop
that.
it in there.
Well, and we've still got equipment, good equipment, for example, the backhoe that's down there that it's gonna take some money to get it up and running, those kind of things. You're not buying a new backhoe, you're just getting it into the shop and getting it up and running and in good shape. Now,
What is that? I-
Like the leaf, Sam and I were talking about the leaf equipment today, that we probably ought to get that up and start looking and see what's gonna have to be done with it to make sure it's operational, cause like the chipper, our chipper's been down since I've been here, and we're just waiting on one part, so, you know, if leaves get as bad as the limbs, we'll, you know.
yeah.
The lead guy's getting,
The leaf vac is an old piece of equipment
it's
too.
just old.
You know, and that.
So, and that's a
That might be
service
major
people
capital.
really, really like.
It really
And that might
Leaf
be
vac and
something.
limb chipper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, leaf vac is gonna be, we're gonna be staring at a problem with that thing in the next couple of years. It's old, so
Yeah, I get it.
I think
We've
it'll,
replaced motors, count at least 2 of them that I know.
wow.
In the leaf back you have?
so I would say, I would think everybody would be in agreement that money in the budget to keep the leaf vac up and running and the limb chipper up and running, those are gonna be I mean, we should anticipate problems with them because of the age of the equipment. So there should be some money available when that stuff goes crap, that we have money to repair. Because those are things people expect.
Right. Sam, I got one thing too. I heard that through the CBVG fund, we were gonna get, quote, 7 speed humps. I I'd like to explore the idea of possibly finding some funds to get a few more than that,
Okay.
if possible. At least we can bring it up and talk about it. I think we need, I keep bringing up that lady that came up to the last meeting about she felt unsafe, and I think anything we can do potentially to help the police, and that may cut down on the calls that they get, so they could do more patrolling. Anything we can do that don't need them right there, as a council, we need to do for them, because a safe place to live is a place everyone wants to be. So, even though it's a small item, but I don't know about anybody else's ward, but I got a highway that I live on.
Yeah. Are you speaking for?
No, the complaint is consistent throughout the city.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is, I'm just
And
saying.
I'm
For
hopeful
speed
that
bumps or speed humps?
speeding,
Oh, yeah.
speeding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of things that we could possibly help the
It's
citizens
gotten out
through
of
the police
control.
department.
Like I said, we just got, I just saw that new traffic car. It's beautiful. I love it. And we're gonna get another one of those. So
Yeah.
that's gonna make a difference.
I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
of things, smaller things that.
Yeah, but anyway, there it is, speed bumps,
Yeah.
additional speed bumps.
Well, I
would
mean,
be
I don't even know
on the
how
wish
much,
list.
I don't even know how much they cost to put them in. Yeah, we talked
And
about
I
it
think-
before, and I think they came up with the number, I thought we were talking like 12 or 13, and they came to 7 for whatever reason. Well, I really believe we need probably double that, in my opinion, but that's something we can talk about.
Well, for capital, capital improvements, it's just that's where your dollars fly out the bank.
Right.
I do think we need to budget yearly to put a reserve, like Sam was saying. We need to place a reserve of those dollars into capital improvement every year, so that the big project, we can take care of it when it comes up. Our streets are aging.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just saying, even though it's a smaller item, but I think it's imperative. I don't think 7 will be as effective as we thought and we talked about.
No.
I really don't, and that's why I just wanted to throw it out.
Okay.
But I agree 200% about the chipper and the leaf vac. We need to definitely keep them, because everybody can appreciate that leaf vac. We live in a tree city, and I bet you I could get easily 30 bags of brown bags out of my backyard alone, and I have no trees.
So,
Zero.
let's do this. If there's any other ideas, forward them to Sam, CC,
Yes.
Okay.
everybody. Go through this budget. Is there things in there, like, you might ask a question, do we have dollars to do this? Is
Right.
it already in there, like I just asked? Oh,
Right.
yeah, that money's already there. So
Right.
study it, it's a lot to, it's
Oh,
gonna
it's a
take some
bunch.
work to get
It's a
through
bunch
it.
to absorb.
And come to our next workshop. Sam's got some input now that he can make some revisions. He's
Right.
gonna get additional information from department heads. And come to the next meeting with any recommendations. Like I say, we've been in
Yeah, and at the
8
next.
hours of budget meetings already to get this far.
At
Yeah.
the next workshop, we will go a lot more line item by line item. I don't know if the council members that were with us last year, remember we had, department plans that kind of broke out the line items and told you what vendors those were spent on, and we'll have those ready once we get the revised things from the different departments.
And some of the comparisons aren't gonna make sense because you're
Yeah, that's always.
rebuilding the budget. There was some screwy line items in there that are being eliminated, creating new ones, so some of the
Which-
comparisons.
Yeah, it's better than last year we were moving entire departments. We used to have a city hall and an admin, now we just have an admin, and so it won't be as bad as last year.
Okay.
That's why there's still asterisks on some of the things.
Did you just say we're gonna have an admin in City Hall?
No, there used to be 2 separate department budgets. One was an administration department budget, and one was a city hall department budget.
Any other questions on this
I
budget?
have just one more question.
Go ahead.
So you plan on hiring maybe a clerk or a secretary in the office? Because some of the places that people always talk about, that they cannot get anyone in City Hall.
Sure. Yeah, part of that is, we need to work to improve our phones. That's something that Kiana and I were talking about. We have explored, getting at least a part-time person. Right now, we have an officer who's on light duty because she's expecting, but, which has helped that a little bit. But it's something that we have explored, and, you know, if it's part-time, that helps on the cost a lot, but we're still talking, you know, $20,000 likely to get someone in a few days a week.
Yeah, and right now, it's not in there.
I know, we probably want to add that, because there's a lot of complaints about that. They can't get to
I
anyone.
understand, yeah. And hopefully, we need to redo our phones, and that's something Kiana and I have talked about, and that hopefully will help with that complaint a lot.
All right, moving on. We've got some liquor license applications to consider. They came in. So we need to get those out of the way and not wait, because they come due on July 31st. Let me find it.
Yeah, it should be after the budget. Kiana wrote a memo telling you who's applied. The only person who we have not received an application from is Glen Echo Country Club. I know Kiana did several follow-up calls. They'll have to wait till the August 8th meeting and go 8 days without a liquor license, so. However long it takes them to apply.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question.
Flew under the radar.
I hope they don't have a wedding plan.
Yeah, no kidding, that'll be upset all day.
Glen Echo doesn't have a liquor
There's a lot of reasons.
Yes.
country. I hope they don't have a wedding plan, that's gonna be.
Is there a motion to approve the liquor license?
Well, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Crazy Deals and United Mark, have they ever had a full liquor license?
These are renewals.
Did they have one last year? I thought it was a partial,
What do you mean by partial?
just beer.
No, they, I believe last year they had all kinds packaged.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah, I know they did, because I bought.
Patrick must have slipped that in, huh? They've always had a partial, right, Steve?
I thought so.
Yeah, Patrick slipped it in, that's,
Yeah, one time it was.
yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Yeah, they never had a full liquor license, but they had it last year, United and, Crazy Deals. Yeah. I know, but
I don't think they would stay afloat if they did.
Yeah, but they didn't have a full liquor license. So,
Is there if that were true, well, is there an objection to?
nah, I mean,
Okay.
they have it now, so, but I don't remember voting on a full liquor license.
It's a little less contentious than last year, hopefully.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So, is there a motion to approve the liquor application from Crazy Deals?
I make a motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any concerns, discussion?
I voice my,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I,
Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the application for liquor license from Whalen's Bar and Restaurant?
I make a motion.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any concerns, objections,
They've been there forever.
conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the liquor license application from United Mart BP?
Motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any concerns? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
no,
Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the liquor license application from St. Anne's Men's Club?
Where are they located? They're on Natural Bridge and what?
Just saying it.
St. Anne's
Yes, church.
Oh,
It's not a full-time establishment, they just have it for,
Okay,
But when they have events,
okay, I didn't know what they were doing, okay.
yeah. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, moving on. Approval of the sale of real estate asset 5316 Colton Drive.
Okay, so this was this is a house that's actually not in terrible condition as far as some of our previous houses went. Probably about a year ago, we approved a resolution to actually sell it to Beyond Housing. The title hadn't been cleared at that time. This one took a while to get the title clear, and then there was a bit of back and forth between Beyond Housing, and then they said, we want to look at the house again, because, it sat all winter with the title being cleared and all that. And then they revised their offer from 15,000 and change to down to 10,000.
No.
So we can either accept that offer at the new price, or we can put it on the open market, or we can do whatever the council wants to do with it. But I do recommend that we sell it.
So when Sam told me this, I advised that we not accept a $10,000 offer because I'm shocked at the prices that Reed is getting us on some of these
I'm
properties.
shocked too.
Should we give it to Reed to sell?
We can make that choice. We can
Oh my
we
God.
can do whatever you want to do.
Beyond Housing is going to consistently rent it, it's not as if
Yeah,
it's.
that's part of their program.
Was there a projection of what it was worth?
No, we never had Reed do comps on it. But I'll tell you, the one on Olean, 2 streets away, in way worse condition,
Yeah.
sold for, what was that?
$30,000.
$30,000,
that's
I
what I
know.
I
mean.
was
Give
shocked.
Reed
I was shocked too.
the business to see.
Yeah, I think they would,
But even if they sell this house on Colton, that you still can get someone to buy it and rent it out, so we can't, I know Beyond Housing,
Reed might get someone to buy it and rent it out, got it.
They
Well,
still-
we know the
'cause they're not gonna-
landowner with Beyond Housing.
yeah, because those houses, they're not that expensive over there, I don't think.
So how do we word this so we don't have to vote on the actual
How many bedrooms?
sale contract?
How many bedrooms?
How many bedrooms?
Two,
2.
2 and 1?
Yeah.
2 of them, yeah.
Would it,
Is there a motion to authorize the city administrator to list and sell 5316 Colton Drive?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Yeah.
second.
What you say, Tony?
he
No,
said,
you make a motion.
Beyond Housing?
There's a motion and a
Wait a minute.
second.
I'm confused.
I'm gonna have a conversation here. I wanna ask Andy, with that motion and second, does that authorize us to enter into any contract that's in the best interest of the city? Do we have to bring up specific price back to the council for approval?
I generally don't like I would like to see a specific offer and price brought back to the council.
okay, so I can tell Reed that we want the offers back by, right before the packets go out.
Right.
And we can accept the offer at the council meeting.
All right,
I
so,
mean, I guess there could, if the council wanted to put a kind of a floor, that would be, I think that would probably be acceptable. To say like, do not accept any offer under $25,000 or something like that, right? I think that would be acceptable and give you authority to accept anything over that. But the kind of the blank check approach, I think
yeah,
is a little.
well, we sold it for 20 once. We approved once to sell it for 20, so
Oh, it was 15. for Beyond Housing.
was it 15?
So did we just vote on that motion? Was that a motion?
Well, there was a motion and a second, now we're having a conversation about it.
To not sell it to Beyond Housing or to give it to Reed? I'm confused.
Well, it's not sold, but they backed out.
Yeah, they backed out.
Well, hold on, no.
We know they did.
No, they lowered,
counter
they lowered,
offered.
that's right.
They, after you have a sale contract and they,
Yeah, we never signed it. Or they never signed it. I think we sent your signature over and then they said,
yeah,
we want to
So-
see the house again.
so we
So
don't
we
have,
don't have a motion for that at all?
No.
The motion was to authorize the city administrator to list and sell.
But what happened, wait, I'm confused
I'm not talking
now.
about
Don't we
Beyond
have to go
Housing.
back to Beyond Housing? and-
we don't owe them anything. We
No,
have-
don't we have to make a motion and say like, we're not gonna sell it to Beyond
I don't
Housing?
think we have
That's
to
what
take
we-
any action at all.
I mean, they backed out of the deal.
They backed out.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't back
backed
out, they just wanted for 10, right?
No, they lowered it, that's backing out of the contract.
Yeah.
They didn't back out, they just wanted
There
for
was never
10.
a contract, there was an offer.
There was an
There
offer,
was an
so,
offer for 15,000.
So they reneged on all of
Now,
it.
they amended their offer, and now they have an offer for 10. So
Yeah, they
there
reneged
could
on
be
all.
a motion to accept the 10, but there
No.
doesn't need to be any sort of a motion to tell Beyond Housing no.
Okay, so we don't need to have a motion for that.
No.
So They just wanted to lower the price because they said that it wasn't in great of a condition. As
Yeah, I don't know why they did it, but they had their guys come out and look at it again. I don't know if their market, what's changed with them, so,
No, their budget didn't.
yeah.
They looked at their budget.
What is the advantage of selling houses to Beyond Housing?
The advantages are, you know that they're gonna fix it, and you know that if there's a code enforcement officer, or a code enforcement issue, that they're gonna take care of that as well. We have a pretty good relationship with Beyond Housing now, and their program is, they put a renter in there, and they sort of train them to be a homeowner, and then they help them, build the skills to get pre-approved for a loan, take care of the property, and then they help them buy a house somewhere else, and then they find the next person, they put them in there, and they train them to sell.
So you're talking about a house that's a permanent rental
Yeah.
property?
Yes.
But we know the landlord.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
Right, we know the landlord.
that's a difference, but you talk about continuously renting to different people.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
And this is, I think, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this their vets program?
I don't know if it's their veterans program or not, but
That was not my
Do
understanding.
we have a number of Beyond Housing, houses that we have in the
That's
city?
one down the street from you.
I know it, but I'm just saying, do we have a number of Beyond Housing that we have in our city?
Weren't they supposed to buy 4?
yeah, but I think we backed out of all but one.
We said one.
Yeah,
Oh.
we've done one. There's a few. It would take me a second to look it up.
Okay, I mean, it's, if you can't find it right now, I mean, it could be something in the future that you can get, but I'm just curious,
Sure.
I like homeowners, you know?
But it can't
We
make the
can't
point someone
guarantee
could buy it and
that.
rent it.
Yeah, but at least you have a
You have a-
50/50
you have a-
chance of someone buying
Yeah,
it.
be a homeowner.
Yeah, Beyond Housing will rent it for that.
Beyond Housing, okay, so we can have half our city as Beyond Housing, so that's all renters.
And they're not letting it go, they're not
They're gonna
selling.
let
Yeah,
it go.
that's a
So
guaranteed
that's what I'm
rental.
looking at. I mean,
Yeah,
that's like
that's
charity.
guaranteed.
Yeah, well, lacking, if there's no motion to accept their offer at 10,000, then we don't need to take any action at all. So,
So Sam can go to Reeves and have them posted or listed?
well, we can do one of two things. Let them come, let them list it, sell it, and we'll bring a price to the council. Or you can amend the motion to list it, sell it, and authorize the mayor to accept a price in excess of, name a dollar amount. And $20,000 would be probably a good dollar to put on that. Say, it has to, at a price that must exceed $20,000, $20,000 or more.
Could we also encourage Reed to sell to a homeowner and that's someone?
We can't do
We
that.
can't
Yeah,
do that.
no.
Won't do that.
No, yeah, if we give it to him to sell, we give it to him to sell, yeah. So, what would the council like to do?
Let Reed post it.
Do you want to bring a number back to the council, or do you
Yeah,
want to
bring a
make a
number back to
motion
the council.
to accept a number?
No, bring a number back to
Yeah,
the
bring the
council.
number
We've
back.
got a motion on the floor, and we've got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda, discussion of the 2024 CDBG fund allocation. And I will open the floor for comments.
So can the equipment for Public Works be purchased with this?
CDBG, can I borrow your? Sure. I'm sorry.
Nope.
So, if you go to the next page, you'll see a front and back, and I'll just give an overview and then I'll get to your question.
Oh, in the back?
There's this page,
Right.
which tells you what you can do, and then there's a map,
Oh, I think
I think on the back is the map.
yeah.
Okay.
So, this is Community Development Block Grant. This is a program through the federal government, through the Department of Housing and Urban Development. We get these funds, well, up until this point, we've got them every year. Usually it's about 66,000. They're now changing it to where you'll get it every 3 years. You'll get the same amount, it'll just be you'll get them in bigger chunks, and then you'll have 2 years without projects. You can use them for different things. You can use them for infrastructure and public facility improvements. You can use them for clearance activities, which is demolitions, which is what we've done a lot in the previous years. You can use them for public services, which I'll get into that, and you can use it for rehabilitation and preservation activities. So the infrastructure and public facilities, that's talking about sidewalks. That's the project that's going on right now. That's a CDBG project. Talking about streets, street sidewalks, parks, water and sewer facilities. We don't have those. Neighborhood centers, parking lots, fire stations, ADA accessibility enhancements. Those are some of the eligible activities that they give. Let's see, public services is a little bit different, and it's kind of hard to do. I know that when you have smaller amounts of money, previously we've done the Police Explorers program. I know that Glen Echo Park allocated some of their funds this past year to the Citizens Police Academy. Now, only 15% of your allocation can go towards that. And then there's rehabilitation, and that's basically the home improvement program.
So only 15% can go towards public services?
Yeah. And then you have the map. So the map the green areas show where there are low to moderate income census blocks. Now, I believe anything that's infrastructure clearance and maybe the home improvement, I would have to check on that, have to be in the green. If it's in the white, I'm sorry, I think the home improvement can be in the white. But in the white areas, you can only do public services and home improvements. In the green areas, you can do those infrastructure projects as well as the demolitions. So, because we are so behind on our streets, I'll just come right to it. I think the best thing that we can do with these funds, we're receiving 132,000, and we won't receive any more for the next 3 years, is to match that with what we have in our street improvement fund and what we're allocating from our motor vehicle sales tax, and do street projects in the Norwood Manor subdivision. I know we get a lot of complaints on Bermuda Court, and we can even have the street survey done before we actually get to spend these funds, because more than likely it'll probably be this time next year before these funds are actually coming in. So
I agree. I mean, you gotta provide basic services first. Now, we have used CDBG funds to demolish properties because they were a blight and they just brought down the value of the surrounding properties. And the same could be said, I know you'd like to use some of it for grant programs for helping people that need help. And if we identify those properties versus just, but I don't think we can do it that way. That just, once you open that up, anybody can apply for it.
Yeah.
And maybe just somebody that knows the system and can apply for it and get the money.
That's such, I mean, there are stipulations on like the amount of money that you make, and then like how much you can get, and then like who.
And I agree, but we may not perceive that particular property as a blight on the neighborhood.
And
Where we think
because-
we might send those dollars elsewhere and do the city as a whole more good.
And because, we're small staff, we would have St. Louis County administer the home improvement program for us. We would not have, I think Florissant administers their own. They have, they're a city of 50,000. But all the small municipalities, St. Louis County administers that program. So if you meet the low to moderate income requirements in your household, you call, and I think it's first come, first serve. I'm not intimately familiar
Well,
with
the
what
reason I've
they
always
do.
opposed those in the past is you take those dollars and they do help a person. But at the cost of everybody else, it should be getting some benefit from those dollars, where if we pave streets with them, everybody benefits.
So my thinking is that like everything that we have talked about has been streets, concrete, we've been talking about concrete for like 3 years.
That's sidewalk.
And so sidewalks and concrete. So my idea is that if we take a small percentage, because we don't have to use it all.
No, we don't.
We don't have to use it all for a grant program, but if we take a small percentage and then we look at our public, what do you call it? What am I keep saying?
Public Works.
Yeah, the citations that, no, Rick's
Oh.
stuff, the citations
Oh.
that people have gotten. And then like what things, like if it's outside things like gutters or like windows, you know, things that if you're driving down the street in a community that you visibly see and it's a person who is elderly, and I think Rick has a good idea of who those people are. I mean, clearly nobody in
But it may
Normandy.
not fit in the
But
requirements.
if we know who those people are and they're consistently, like, Rick has talked to people and he knows, like, who is having a hard time. He knows who is getting help, who needs help and everything. So if we take a small amount and it will help us as a community, I think, to like have that property come up than to have it where that person is continually getting citations and everything. Now, I'm not saying give it to somebody who is renting a house, because if you're getting rent, you should be able to take care of your property. I'm talking about somebody who's been
I
living
think
here
it
for
would
like,
have to be an owner occupied, Sam, is
Yeah.
that correct? It has to be owner
I
occupied.
think it does have to, but it's
I think
like,
it does.
if you're gonna take,
Yeah.
if we're gonna say that we're gonna have this program, then it needs to be somebody like, I know people that have been here like 35 years, and they have small things, it's not sometimes big things, but small things that they need to have done, and they just don't, and they don't know where to turn, and it's like, so, we have a list of vendors, you know, from the Missouri state list, that these are vendors that could be used and everything like that, so there are ways that, I mean, to say that we're not gonna do it because we've never done it, in my mind, is not a reason to not do it.
Well, I'm not saying we don't do it because we've never done it. And if we do dedicate some money for that, if that's the council's pleasure, we won't have any control over who gets it or what they use it for. You're saying,
You do get it, they can't use it for like,
St. Louis County administers that
no,
program.
but you have to use it for like your windows, your gutters, your.
No, but we don't have
Who can
control
get it?
over who can get
gets
it.
Who applies for it?
Well, it's gonna be low income people, so it's not like, of course, you don't have a
and
set
I'm
like.
not
who
sure it
can
has
get
to be
it.
external.
So this is from the website's approved repairs and replacements necessary to maintain minimum housing code standards are eligible. And then the homeowners responsible for getting all the bids from their contractors, and then St. Louis County pays the contractor. And that's how it works, it's once
So
in a
they don't even get the
lifetime.
money in their hand.
No.
But what I'm hearing you say is ideally, we would focus on the people who are being ticketed because of their housing needing to be improved. But we can't be that specific in the application.
I think she's just talking on a broad level.
I'm just saying
We
on a
have-
broad level, like if we,
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying. If we say we're gonna have this program, okay, let's say we say we're gonna put $20,000 towards this program. And then everybody can come and get the application. But Rick could go out and say, hey, you have been consistently like cited for your this. Here's an application, you should really fill this out. I know that you're having a hard, that you should really fill this out and like you can get some of this work done. I don't think there's anything wrong, like as a community, for us to say like,
That doesn't mean that they're gonna get it.
it doesn't mean that they're gonna get it, but at least us, as a community, we're like, we gave it to you, you can't say you never got it.
There's also one other detail, so you have to do it, I believe it's in $7,500 increments.
Right, $7,500.
Because $7,500 is one applicant.
Right.
So if you did, so that means one person would get it in Normandy if you multiply that by how many ever homeowners you want to serve.
Okay.
So if you want to serve 10, that's,
So it's $7,500 per house?
Individual, yeah.
For a house,
Yeah.
yeah, and from, like, I think 2 years ago, we tried to give $7,000, and then St. Louis County said, no, you have to give $7,500.
We got the program 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We did at one point in the program.
Who got it?
It was right after I started.
After you started,
I don't
or was it
remember.
earlier than that?
It was our 2022
I
funds.
think
I don't remember.
Councilman Nelson advocated for it, and there was a minimal amount of money dedicated for home improvement, and it was in that.
Yeah, I think we did leftover of what we thought we needed, and it turns out it wasn't even enough to St. Louis County to
Yeah,
get.
So we have to add that money to St. Louis County for them to be eligible for that money? Is it from us or is it St. Louis
All
County?
I'm saying, yeah, St. Louis County will allocate and administer the program, but we have to do it in $7,500 increments if we're gonna do it at all.
So 15,000 or 22,500.
It's gonna only service.
So-
And I'm saying we have to give money to that program from Normandy, okay. That's what I'm
So,
asking. Okay.
yes, it comes out of our CDBG funds.
Also, we
We're
might
gonna have a public hearing at the August meeting.
Yes, and yeah, we're not looking to vote tonight.
Yeah.
I just, there were some questions, and really, we should probably do this every year at the workshop before the hearing and talk about what we want, because, well, per the guidelines, the city does submit, we're supposed to read out a plan at the public hearing.
Yeah.
And-
So let's get some more feedback. We've got two positions on the table. One is to dedicate all of the funds for street improvement. The other is to dedicate the majority of the funds for street improvement, a portion of the funds to assist low-income or seniors with home repairs. Those are the two that I hear now. So what does everybody think?
I think I'm hearing you say that if we keep it with streets, it's gonna serve more people in Normandy. Where if we do the home improvement, I don't think we can afford just only servicing 3 people and the other population not getting our needs met, the general needs met.
Especially when you have an entire block complaining about the streets. But somebody in the corner, they have,
We definitely need street improvement. We need street improvement all over Normandy.
well, Bermuda Court is sinking. That needs to be
Right,
addressed.
I mean, and, we had a sink, last year?
Yeah, last year.
So we have a few streets that's like that. So our attention should be on street improvement right now with the money. I mean, we haven't done anything with our streets in years.
I
We need to
agree.
pay a lot of attention to our streets right now.
Because Ward 1 has gravel, they keep digging up every time it rains.
Put you on the spot, then.
It's horrible.
I know,
They got that-
potholes
The way it
and
was surfaced.
street
It
waving.
was hard. Did you all have the same stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, everybody's got it.
All right.
So, any other comments or questions regarding CDBG funds? We're gonna have a public hearing at the next meeting, make a proposal and have a vote. All right, next item under, old business, first item. The discussion of the marketing strategy for the city of Normandy and Village of Glen Echo Park consolidation. I suggested we take that outside, but here it is on the agenda. So anyway, I'll tell you, I will work 3 hours. If somebody, I'm not gonna be in town after tomorrow morning. If somebody wants to coordinate that, I'm good for 3 hours, and if that isn't enough, I'm good for more. But with the number of people we've got, we should probably have a couple people down there all day. It shouldn't be hard to do. This-
But if we took sections of the day, it's not gonna be all that busy, it's just Normandy, and it's gonna be the one proposition. But we need to be there to interact with people. I mean, if you wanna email me when you're gonna be able to do it, I'll just generate the list. If there's gaps, I mean, I could fill the gaps, I'm retired, and I can fill the gaps. So if you wanna email me, I can email Vicki and say, email me, the specific times you're gonna be there,
Okay,
the specific
so
times
Debbie
that you
has
want to be there.
generously volunteered
And
to
if
put
we all do
together
a
a
couple
work list.
hours during some part, so if people work, you're gonna be in late in the afternoon, you might be early in the morning. The, people that have more flexibility, we could be during that work time, scheduling, so,
Well, my email will be anytime you see fit.
okay, if you do
Yeah.
that, then I'll fill you in with
Yeah.
everyone else's schedule.
Yep.
Yeah, so
That's
if
the
you wanna
email I will send
think
you.
about it and email me.
And please email her, we can't let this thing,
No, it's
for lack of effort, it was
around
just
the corner.
too much work put
I know Glen
into
Echo's
this, so.
gonna have people too, so you
Yeah, I'll
probably
email
like
Vicki
me.
and say, you
Yeah.
know, this is what.
It would be nice to have a Normandy and a
Yes,
actual person
yes.
there at all
And I
times.
could match, if she emails me the people, I can match that up then, and then get out a master schedule.
Okay,
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you.
do that, you're welcome.
I don't think there's anything else left to talk about. There are flyers available. Oh, I've got signs that I made, and if, I'm gonna give them to anybody that wants them. If somebody wants to buck up $10 a sign, that will help defer the cost of having those signs made, but they're in the truck right now.
Yard signs? You have some yard signs?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, I got them in my truck right now, so after the meeting, just meet me out at the truck and I'll get some signs out.
I don't know, I have kind of an observation of it the last meeting. Would this be appropriate to kind of put out there in regards to our voting on the number of public signs, that we allotted monies for?
Yeah, how many would be?
I guess this is how.
I'm confused, I'm sorry.
Okay, so when we were talking about putting monies for the signs, and Yolanda suggested amount of money, but we didn't have to spend it. And then the vote was for so much less that I'm not even sure. I mean, we planned out 15 public spaces and it kind of eked itself through. But I guess as a council person, with how much time Yolanda and Vicky put in the flyers, the simple request of her was to just kind of keep it open and try to determine how many we need. And then the vote was so negative, I just really felt, well, I suggested her, Yolanda, next time, when you put all those hours in, give someone else the time to do the next project, because I just felt she was not supported. And I just, as a council person, if we're gonna do that to each other, just for a simple suggestion of let's just keep it a monies that can be flexible, because we didn't even talk through what we needed, and then not even almost limit to no monies, and then the 250, Sam had to tweak that a little bit. I just, I can understand why she may have felt discouraged. And do we want, with someone putting in so much time in a project, 4 to 5 meetings, 3 hours at each meeting, away from her family, and I just felt it was really unsupportive, and I think we need to kind of think through, when we vote, that underlying situation where, someone's asking something, where's her part in it, or his part in it, and how can we be supportive? Because we didn't even talk through how much. We were dragging our heels in regards to what we needed, when we were gonna get it, how we were gonna purchase it, and then that led into the budget, where we had a couple of talks about that, and then all of a sudden, it was Mark's vote that decided on the amendments to the budget that included the monies for the consolidation, and it's like, didn't we have 2 or 3, and no one was giving feedback about that, it was just no on the amended budget.
And disagree, Dale.
With amendment of the budget, it's like, why would we amend the budget when we had a budget that was coming up? We had a new budget that was
Because we
coming
needed
up.
the amendment on this last year's budget to be able to give the monies for the consolidation and to be able to balance this budget going forward. And we've had a couple discussions about that in my mind's eye. And so if it wasn't understood, then you needed to put out a question saying, why are we doing this then, so it could be revisited and explained.
Well, we should always work in the budget, within the budget. When we start making amendments to the budget and just add money to the budget, and then we vote on the budget when we got a new budget that's coming up.
No, but we had to adapt this
Well,
budget.
I can explain, there was some
there was some-
misunderstanding.
yeah.
There was some misunderstanding.
There were
on
other
that.
things that had to.
That's
be-
not
it wasn't just
unusual
this.
at all to amend a budget.
You understand?
When we had an influx of revenue, well more than what we anticipated, $250,000 from next door. And then we had unexpected expenses, and it was attorney's fees for quiet title, which was more than offset by the sale of real estate assets. But that all has to be balanced and reconciled in the budget, and it's not uncommon at all at year's end, when you've got an increase in insurance fees, an increase in the attorney's fees, which, like I said, was more than offset by the sale of assets. So it was a net gain for us. It actually put more money in reserve than what we had in the first place. But I think that whole thing was a misunderstanding. I think people,
I'm not sure, because you explained it. Sam
Well-
explained it. We had 2 meetings on it.
What's your
So are we, I guess what I'm saying, are we listening? And if,
Yes, we are listening, everybody's individual.
People can disagree and,
Right.
Well,
and
it's
agree,
not
yeah,
that
that's
we're
like,
disagreeing.
so what are you saying?
it's not a.
She said we're not listening.
Well, because the
Yeah,
understanding
that's what I
wasn't
heard.
there as far as the amended budget.
All right.
So you're saying we wasn't listening, we just
Yeah, we
voted
just-
no, is that what you're saying?
I'll tell you what.
You didn't understand the fact.
Yeah, that's,
There, there's,
There were
there's,
questions that needed to be asked
There's a-
instead of doing the vote like
there's
this.
a point, the point was made, and now we're getting off
Yeah,
the
that's-
agenda.
How many signs did we actually purchase?
I'll see y'all next time.
15.
15?
Yeah.
So, there was one that was like at the circle, there were 3. And then
I
it-
changed that.
Oh, you changed
I
it?
put it to
Oh,
another.
okay. Because I was wondering if like,
We're still at 5.
Okay, well, I got 30 signs, Debbie got 6 of them,
Yeah, I paid for it.
Tony's taken a couple, Steve took,
I think it's
Steve and Karen took
Oh.
2, 5 went to Glen Echo Park, they bought some. So I'm gonna save 6 of them for election day, so we can have them at the polls. So I got plenty of signs if people want signs. I'm already giving away quite a few of them. So, anyway, I got plenty of signs for who
so we
wants.
bought 15 as a city, but then you made how
No,
many?
those were different.
Those are,
I know,
yeah,
you bought how
30.
many?
He did the yes ones.
yeah.
The 15 were the city with the date of the election.
$250 doesn't go along with the signs then, huh?
No, they did.
Well, his was his
I
out
was
of pocket.
$340 for 30 signs, yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
so,
So,
all right.
But
let-
last year, the election, so those 6 signs you're saving, what we did is we just went in the yards and picked them up. and-
Snatch, well,
So-
if I have more people with
Yeah.
signs, I can do that. I'll put my, on my front yard, your front yard.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on, discussion of the city pay plan. And I'll open the floor. Nothing's changed since you saw this thing last.
All of this is the same, Sam?
It's all the same thing.
Okay.
The effect on the budget is the same. I'll again tell you that I think Sam won't be his advocate, but it's not about Sam either. It's about the position of city administrator, the very last item
Wait, are
on
we going through the actual,
pay plan.
yeah, but are we
Yeah.
starting at the booklet or are we starting at the?
So,
No.
yeah, hold on. There were a couple things.
Because I had questions about, this was specifically what I asked.
Okay.
About
Okay,
at the last meeting.
So I've
No,
got
I
those
don't
like
have-
4
so let's go
papers.
Sam first to explain and then.
Okay.
Well, no,
Questions.
I was gonna bring up some of the things that Councilwoman Campbell has mentioned to me about changing some of the language in the job evaluations as well, and I think we should bring up those changes and discuss.
Okay.
So I'll let her go and,
So, no, it's the really, really thick one that we got. This one.
Yeah, I don't have one. I have another one.
I don't have that.
sorry, we didn't print those out, but here's a copy of it.
No, I got mine.
Okay,
I've got,
go ahead.
So page 4, in the second paragraph about steps, it talked about, it says, employees with poor performance may only receive a single step increase or potential no increase, while employees with superior performance may receive multiple step increases, and so there's no limit on it.
No, you're fine.
So I
Second
was,
paragraph.
yeah, so I was, because what you don't wanna, like, in my mind, it was like, okay, so if I have superior performance, then a person could jump like 5 steps on the scale. So like, we would, in my mind, we need to put a limit, like, if you have superior performance, you can jump 2 steps, but you cannot jump like 5, because that would like
And
completely.
that was the example that Sam used for me.
Yeah.
He said that with the police department, the way it would work, because I have the most employees, he would say, okay, you have this many step 2 increases, you have this many step 1 increases, and those would be a limited number, and then everybody else would just be like their regular step. So everybody, unless they have poor performance, and of course they don't know.
But even with like courts, I didn't even ask them about police.
Yeah, police
I was
would be
like,
separate.
that was-
There is a,
I didn't
there
ask
is
police
protection
questions.
built into
Yeah,
police,
I-
because you're gonna get a pool of steps that
I was
you're allowed
thinking
to
like,
make.
you know, like
Yeah.
with courts and like public works and other places, like if somebody's making like, let's say $15.75, and then like, oh, they had superior performance, like then they could end up making like $27 if they got. So we're like, oh, we're just gonna jump them this
We'd
way.
actually
That should be like a
talk about
limit to the
Yeah, so
steps.
the way it's written, that protection is built in.
I had that same
You have, if you get the best performance evaluation, you get a 7 out of 7, you can only receive a 3-step increase. And that's written out in the police department subheading and in the all other department subheading. The one place that wouldn't apply to is department heads, which of course that's the discretion of the council. We can add that into department heads. It's up to you guys. I mean, so, but that's how it's
We would vote on
currently
the
written.
department head grade anyway. So, I mean, it's a built-in safety valve, because we get to vote on it.
So a 3-step increase would be the limit.
That would be the maximum for any non-department head employee.
Okay, I'm sorry, maybe I've been at BJC for too long, but what do you mean by 3 steps? Like, what do you?
Yeah. So
I'm
that's, if you flip this page around here
Okay.
to this, each one of these is a step. So this is step 1 to step 13.
Is there a percentage on these?
No,
And I just think for like, for me,
It's a, so
like,
each
you're-
one is
like if you're
a one, it's a,
you could go-
so it's a flat thing, but it's based off of about
You could go
1%.
you could go-
okay, yeah, okay, so that makes sense to me, okay.
It's adjusted so it's flat, that way it doesn't exponentially
Yeah, I didn't want it to
grow.
be
Okay,
like.
I got you.
Sorry.
I'm just saying, like here at BJC, we get 3% if you're a high performer.
Right.
Okay, that's all, okay, that makes sense then, okay. So 1 step is a 1%, 2%, 3%.
Yep,
Gotcha,
that's
okay.
exactly.
Okay, good, okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, small departments was my same concern. It's like, well, there's got to be some kind of.
I just think the multiple should just be changed to 3, max of 3, instead of just having multiple.
Okay, well,
The word,
so you're talking about the general description,
yeah.
and then in the specific
May
departments, it's
receive
built
a,
in.
yeah, max of 3-step increase.
So we do want to max 3-step on the department heads as well then, and that's fine if that's changed. I mean, I don't really see anyone getting a 6-step increase either, so.
Yeah, I would like to
I'm
see,
indifferent to that, whatever the council, like I say, we're voting on that anyway, so we can,
well, that's a vote, but I would like to see like, instead of multiple, just max of 3-step increase.
Well, we would need to make a decision if it's going to apply to department heads, because the reason why it's not specific in that section is because it does differ when it comes to department heads. So,
Also,
again,
this
3
description
steps.
applies to everybody.
Right, but
Oh.
that's more general, you know,
But not
the more general section is
Oh,
less
but it says it in
restrictive.
the department heads, because it says increase of 3 on page 5, it says an increase of up to 3 and no less than 1. We have, it's already.
That's all other departments.
Oh,
So that would be general employees, and then department heads have their own subsection. Now, we add the 3-step, because again, it would seem unlikely to do it. The thought process was, you know, that's the council's discretion anyways, so does the council want to tie their own hands? Everything else is tying my hands as the city administrator. So,
yeah, like
I mean, you guys can
we
override it.
vote on it anyway. We've got it, it's built in. It's a built-in safety valve. It says we do whatever we want to do with it. So do we need to change the language in this for that?
for the department heads or for this? one?
Just department heads.
No, I'm not talking about department heads.
Okay, what is it?
Wait, if we change it for, you're saying that if we change it here, we have to change it for department
right,
heads?
because then it would be,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. I don't see a problem changing it.
Okay. I
I
mean,
don't know, what
it's-
does everybody else think? I mean, that's my.
I would say we have a vote on what department heads make. We already can do
yeah,
it.
and if you wanted to, I mean, you don't have to listen to this because you're, well, you probably do have to listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
we've already got it built in, so it's a three-step freeze, or a three-step max. And we already get to vote on department head increase. We're the one making those.
So then do we just, we don't worry about it and then we just leave it here on page 5? Is that what you're saying?
it's on page 4 and 5, so yeah, it covers all.
No,
the
not that
tools.
wording though, but the wording on page 5 suffices.
I think
It
so,
accomplishes
unless-
what you want to
Okay.
accomplish and freezes the steps to three.
Okay. So then, in the department head, on page 5, the last paragraph, it says the mayor shall be responsible for conducting performance evaluations of the city administrator,
And you talked about adding and
adding and
council.
council.
Okay. I think that's a good change. I don't know if anyone has different opinions, but.
Yeah, that language came out of our own personnel policy.
Oh, and then for new employees, how did I write mayor and council? Okay. Such advanced placement shall require the approval of the city administrator. Oh. So if you, on the last paragraph on page 5, when a new employee is hired and is found to be at the city's advantage, that part?
Yes.
Should we have a say in that? Or you just say,
Well, that's up to you and what you want in the policy.
I didn't know.
The reason why it's in-
I don't have it in front of me.
The reason why it's in quotations is because that's taken straight from the personnel policy manual.
What does that mean to the city's advantage? So if somebody comes in.
It's in the city's benefit.
Oh, thank you.
So,
A well-qualified person?
We have something that we're gonna talk about hopefully after this.
Yeah.
And it's an example of that.
Okay.
so again, if you want to modify that, because right now, to do that, it requires the department head and the city administrator to approve the department head's request. If you want to require that it be taken to city council, that's your guys' pleasure to bring someone in at above step 1. I mean, that's up to you guys. Or you can say, no, you have to bring them in at step 1. I
I
mean,
thought there was language already requiring that, and that's why we have a special closed session meeting tonight.
well, right now this isn't adopted, so.
Okay, I got you.
Wait, so there is language, or is that what we're
There
gonna talk
is
about
language.
later?
No, I mean, there's other reasons why we have to get council approval for the specific instance that you're talking about, so. Let's save it for closed session.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other one on page 6.
Well, on that, let's stay on that one. I just, the way it's written, I think the council needs to limit their involvement in hiring decisions to department heads.
That's my question, that's why I
Yeah.
put a question mark. I said,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if, because I read and I was like, should the mayor and the city council be involved? I didn't know if that was okay.
Okay.
That's why I put, okay, is that okay? So, that's what I'm asking.
And there is one other check, I mean, the mayor has to approve all hires. So, I mean, he would know about the step increase as well. So there is another check on that from an elected official.
Okay. And on page 6, the last, it says department heads have, and the approval of the city administrator make employees eligible for step increases and qualifications if the qualification is listed in a job position, blah, blah, blah. Is there a time limit for that? Like,
So that would be done on the way it was intended, and that doesn't mean it is written clearly necessarily. But the way it's intended is on your performance evaluation each year, you list all new certifications and trainings that you completed that year, and then that's taken into
so
account.
they have to do it right then and there. And if they,
And then there are certain certifications listed in the job description that immediately give you a step increase. And that would depend on how it's written in the job.
but if you don't do it during your annual performance evaluation, what I'm saying is like 3 months later, if you get it, and then you're like, I want, you know what I mean? I want to
So,
evaluate.
so for the
it.
ones listed in the job descriptions, it's intended to be automatic, right? Because the job description says candidate, or, employees with this get an automatic two-step increase. For ones that aren't listed in the job description, it's just taken into account with the performance evaluation.
Okay, so it happens yearly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to say when it's gonna happen. It just happens at the performance time.
Right, and that would be consistent with the personnel policy amendment that goes alongside this.
Then on A7. So I was talking to Sam about this one. So this is the personal development vision. And, oh wait, did I tell you about the typo?
I think you did.
And then, my understanding is they fill this out, and it's basically like how they want to improve themselves. But I was telling Sam, I was like, I feel like we need to have a box, if people don't fill it out, where they check and then initial next to each one, so they can't come back and say like, I didn't see that part. You know what I mean? So like, it would look like this.
Are you saying like, is this the one based off on our
Yeah.
form? So what happens is, before their evaluation, this came from the police department. So
Okay.
before any employee is evaluated, they have to go online, they have to pull the annual evaluation, they have to critique themselves. Their evaluation doesn't get completed until they turn it back to their supervisor.
But what if they choose not to fill
There
out
is
certain
no
parts?
choice not to. Everyone has to have a professional development plan.
No, but what if I get this and I'm like, I don't have anything to say, and I don't fill it out?
It's not optional. Everyone has to fill it out.
So you have to put something on the
Every
sheet.
police officer tell that, why are you here if you have no goals?
No, I'm not talking about you, girl, you a whole nother animal. I'm talking about, I'm talking about the people. Look, nothing I'm saying tonight has to do with police. You supposed to school me on that. I'm talking about the people in that office, in this office.
They should have some goals.
Okay, but what I'm saying, I know, but sometimes you get people, I'm a teacher, here's a paper, fill it out, and then they give it back to you.
Right. Well, this
And I'm like, huh?
this is a policy, this isn't the
Yeah.
evaluation.
And
I know,
also-
but I'm saying, like, if I fill this out, and then I know I have to sign it down here. So let's say I only want to fill out like 3 and 11, right? And then I give it back to me, and based off of all the other stuff that we've gone through, it's like, well, we're evaluating you on this, this, and this, and this is one of the things, right?
Yeah,
So then it's like, okay, you didn't fill it out, and so then the person could be like, well, I didn't even see it.
well, then I
And
would.
you just have to check a box and initial that
If
says you
it
don't.
was, if
that
it was
doesn't-
one of my direct reports, I'd give it back to them and I'd say, complete in its entirety. You don't get your pay raise until you complete your performance
Is it gonna kill
evaluation.
us to put an NA box and initial box, initial line?
It doesn't kill us.
Is the CYA is what I'm saying.
I feel like it gives them an out for lazy people. It gives them an option to say, I don't want to check, I don't want to fill this out.
I know, and then we understand what kind of person they are as an employee, if you don't wanna fill it out. But you can't come back and say like, I didn't see it, I didn't see that part.
I don't see it as necessary.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing, so the whole first 3 pages of the evaluation is their part. So there's no way they can not see it, 'cause page 1, 2, and 3 is their part. So, yeah,
Alright.
and they give instructions. Every year we send out a detailed email with how to get to the form and then what the steps are to
We won't be here that
completion.
much
So like
longer.
why people check, when they meet the steps, then they can turn it in.
One on the fifth, they're signing the date.
I know, but still, even with that, people could be like, I didn't see it.
Write a disclaimer.
That was a part of our
Says, "Don't fill this
evaluation, the
out if you
IDP.
When they turn it in, turn it back and say, you want to fill it out.
We had
If we don't wanna put it, then we don't wanna put it. On page, on A8, like number
some
12,
of it's silly.
I thought that wording was
It
different.
really is, but
Or, not different, but I thought it was,
If I could change anything about the city of Normandy, it
So-
would be,
I put 3 suggestions I believe would improve the city of Normandy in the next year, which I felt like would eliminate number 13.
Got you.
yeah, I mean, either way, it's feedback, so
I like that.
it's pleasure of the council.
So instead of having 12 and 13, 12 would be 3 suggestions I believe will improve the city of Normandy in the next year.
I like that.
Okay, I can make it.
I will be fired because I never did my self-evaluation at the.
You did them that.
Well, look at that. I love, I love when they do that.
We
Tell me who you think you are,
we
so I
had
can
a
tell you who
mid-year
you really
review
are.
at this.
That's what
reason why I
it's
don't-
for, and/ad, right?
People are laughing.
After 6 months, we
Yeah,
had
they
figured
are.
if
It's
we
hard
wanted,
to
if we were doing it
evaluate.
according to plan.
Thank you.
Not these police officers, but they are.
Stay on point. Any other suggestions?
Oh, yeah.
A9.
Who's on those?
So this one, I thought we could kind of change, okay, so this is what I was talking to Sam about. It says, so this is something that the person's, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, the department head fills this out about the person, right?
After they receive the employee's own evaluation, which we just talked about,
Yeah.
then the director or the supervisor fills this out.
So I took objection to these three words, or these two words, attitude and behaviors. And the reason why, I talked to Sam about this, the reason why I would say attitude and behaviors is because attitude is typically a word that is associated with Black women. And when you think about somebody's attitude, you cannot evaluate somebody on an attitude. Either you're doing the work or you're not. And then the same thing I feel like with behavior. If I walk in the morning and I'm not a person that says good morning, then that should not be something that is held against me because it is not in my job description. So I was telling Sam that just because we are in a climate right now where we have to think about those things, I think it would be better to have 3 or 4 strengths and weaknesses, 3 or 4 strengths, and then 3 or 4 weaknesses, and then trainings for next year that they need to complete.
I think in a public service atmosphere, attitude does mean a lot. I mean, I remember there were times you would come, and I'm going a couple years back, you could come back in this office and get nothing but eye rolls and slow walk, and that's attitude. And I think it's important that people have a good attitude about serving the community that they're working for.
Is that something, if somebody filed a complaint, now we just got over this insurance cost, that they could go to court and you could defend, we fired them because of the attitude?
Well, it would depend on what the supervisor wrote. If the supervisor wrote a bunch of
Well, it's on
racist
here. The
things.
word attitude is on, can you defend, we fire somebody because of their attitude?
I mean, it depends, and that's the most lawyerly answer, I know that, but it really just depends on the specific facts and a lot of the background, but, I mean, if truly it just depends, right? It's very much depends.
But with
There's
that,
attitude and there's culture.
and for this, again, this was adopted, this was the police department evaluation. So the thought concept behind that was really attitude and behavior towards the public, attitude and behavior towards the job, and towards your supervisor and peers. So we would justify that or quantify that, like in that spot, where I would say, Officer so-and-so has received 3 citizen complaints this year wherein he was described as being overly aggressive or overly assertive or condescending towards citizens. Suggested revision, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Consider your word choice when you're speaking to members of the public. Or consider the way that you come across when, we have some people where maybe whatever happened to you was the worst thing in the world, but to that officer, they play it, she's like, oh. Well, we don't want people, we want people that are compassionate no matter what the situation is. So that's where that really was adopted from, because we don't want police officers and public servants doing public service.
Is there a better word that we can use?
Attitude toward behavior towards the public specified.
Would it be possible, what I wouldn't mind seeing is some sort of list of criteria of what constitutes like a good attitude, I guess, so that it's something a little more objective and we're
Yeah, I'm
mindful
thinking-
of kind of the
Yeah, that was to me,
considerations that you're
those are
bringing up, so that-
subjective.
My recommendation is maybe calling it interpersonal skills, because
I like that.
interpersonal skills
Yeah.
are really important.
Yeah.
and
I like that word
especially,
better than
I know you work in
attitude,
HR, and so do I, so interpersonal skills are
I
actually
like
very
that.
relevant to the job.
So we could just change the word to interpersonal
Is
skills.
this for the city's version of the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
City.
Michelle.
I like that.
What?
I said, is this for the city's version of the eval? And they said, yeah. I said, oh, let me shut up.
I keep telling you.
I know my evaluation, so I keep doing it. I'm like, oh, that's. I apologize. I missed that.
So would the whole thing be interpersonal skills instead of attitude, skills, and behaviors?
Well, skills, there's, you need it
Interpersonal.
differently, your skills, they're job description skills, right?
Interpersonal
Interpersonal
skills.
skills is interactions with public, coworkers.
No, but it's attitudes,
Let's talk about
comma,
what-
skills.
I don't have it in front of me, so I can't really.
Yeah, it currently reads, it would be helpful if you continued demonstrating the following attitude, skills, and behaviors.
What would we use for skills if we're gonna use interpersonal
Interpersonal
skills?
relations,
Oh, interpersonal relations.
interactions.
Or you could just say skills and interpersonal.
Yeah.
Skills, or job-related skills.
Job-related
Oh, job-related skills.
There we go.
I like that.
And then interpersonal skills.
I like that better.
Yeah.
So what about behaviors then?
Doesn't that relate to interpersonal
Yeah, so
relations?
just, we don't need that then.
So it'd be interpersonal relations and job-related skills.
Well, couldn't there be behaviors that are, for example, if your interpersonal skills would be how you relate to your coworkers, your job-related skills would be how competently you perform your tasks, but then behaviors maybe could be like, are you regularly tardy, right? That doesn't
Right,
fit into
that's-
either one of those or
right.
something like that. And
You take 73 smoke breaks.
Right, yeah,
So do we keep
Not me.
So, I don't know what that's.
But some of my people, yes.
What's
Set
a,
of behaviors, job
what's a
expectations.
synonym?
Well, it's a behavior, it's, there's some behaviors that are
Job
unacceptable, it's, yeah.
So you guys think keep the word behaviors?
I can't, yeah.
Does behavior have any of the same connotations that like attitude would have?
Yeah, it would.
I think it
Yeah, it
does.
would, I think it would.
I think it does. What do you guys think?
I agree with you.
I think the
Employee
word,
expectations, I mean, getting to work on time.
expectations.
Conduct.
Expectations.
Oh, conduct.
like that.
Okay, conduct.
Thank you.
I'm ready to get to the punch.
Okay, so interpersonal relations, job-related skills, and conduct.
You beat me to, you beat me. I was getting ready to do
And then
that.
on the second one is the same three words.
Sure. And the third.
Yeah. It's all the way down, this one.
All the way down.
Well, that one's different. That's training that you want them to do.
Oh.
And then,
Well, same thing on
oh
number
wait, it
three.
is on
Yeah,
that one too,
uh-huh.
on number 3.
And the
Yeah.
next one after that.
Oh yes, it's on number 3 too.
Yeah.
Then, what was the other one? A15. So for public works employees, are we gonna, they don't have to have a CDL? For, at any, like, is there a time limit when they have to get it, or
I
we're not?
don't, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have a piece of equipment that requires a
And,
CDL.
and actually,
Not even a B.
yeah, and I think in the copy you have, it does have the CDL requirement, and I've since changed that because.
No, it's not in this one.
No, the special requirements on page,
Cause we went to a smaller truck.
A16. Yeah, ever since we got rid of the sanitation trucks, that was the big one.
Right.
So that's not, so a CDL isn't necessary.
Yeah, in fact, I've already taken it out, and in the next draft, it won't be in there. It could be something that we list as a certification that we give additional pay for, but again, if Dennis is saying we don't need one at all, then I don't know.
So we could, you're saying that we could put it in like as a
If we get the
certificate?
biggest truck and put the Bobcat in the back, and there's rocks on it, I mean, are we?
Still wouldn't need a
Yeah.
CDL?
Still don't need it.
Okay.
Then,
The
A,
biggest things are the OSHA 10 and the OSHA 30, getting this.
on A17. So this one is the code enforcement. And Sam and I had a conversation about this, so. And I don't know if this is, if we contract, like I know at one point we were talking about how, what was it?
Well, I guess.
County,
No. Valley, I wanted to use, what's his name? Rick.
yes.
Capital Pickman.
So if we include do we need to include, code enforcement for Normandy and other cities contractors with the city?
For 'em.
Yeah, I gotta go pick my daughter up from work.
You don't have any time at all?
I gotta, at 8 o'clock.
Okay. We've got something that we needed to vote on in closed session.
Okay.
Is there one on your phone?
Can we go to closed session and come back?
You can get on Zoom.
I mean, it's,
Well, once he goes, we gotta go. I mean, that's,
well, right, once he goes, we're done.
Yes, he's-
So, well, I mean, we could, move to just kind of postpone the rest of this conversation.
Let's
for
take up
Tuesday.
more of this at the meeting.
Well,
In the
yeah,
next
that's what we
workshop.
gotta do.
At the what?
At the next workshop.
Next month?
Yeah, we're gonna have a budget meeting. We got some,
Okay.
we have something urgent that we have
Okay.
to work on. Is there a motion to go into closed
Well,
session?
first we need a motion to table or postpone.
well, this is just discussion.
We're just.
Yeah, that was
You're right.
Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss a personnel issue?
Motion?
Is there a second? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Councilman Fox?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
That's me,
As long as the girl go down, we can do it.
That's good
She's
enough for me.
she's a TSA agent.
Let's shut this down and do it here.
Yes. Wait, are we gonna do it here?
We can if we shut everything down, because I know we're just trying to move quickly.
Yep,
Yeah, oh,
Just
okay.
shut it down.
right. Let's keep in mind,